and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Pause for 3 TV. Today I have a simple message for you. It is a message I have decided will be part of my personal daily reminders, being content with what you have. As an unknown writer is quoted as saying, many of us lose the small joys we have in the search for the big happiness which never comes. There's a feeling you have of not getting enough of something, and a feeling that others are receiving more attention, are giving more money or opportunities. As you think about it, you only want to be more like the next person. See how badly you wish it was you who had what the next person has. And when you heard that that co-worker has been selected for a cause, you simply could not understand why it was not you. That's jealousy, which Wikipedia refers to as the thoughts or feelings of insecurity, fear, or concern over relative lack of possessions. For me, I've opted to always remind myself that jealousy is a way of telling God you're not okay with his performance. Simply put, being jealous is being unappreciative and ungrateful. Jealous people don't see anything good happening to them. They are simply dissatisfied with everything and everyone. For people who are jealous, they always feel cheated and abused even when they get more than what is due them. Stop thinking and believing that you are better than any or every other person. And for that matter, it is you who deserves the best. Remember that life does not always give us what we deserve. Just imagine if you were always receiving what we desire. Wouldn't we all be living in our desired mansions and driving our dream cars? What I want to leave with you today, my brothers and sisters, is that you should desire for the best. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But you can do that without being jealous of the other person. Being jealous, deciding not to be content with what you have, and always stretching your neck to check what your neighbor has, only steals your little joy away. Don't let such negative attitudes steal your little joy. Thank you for tuning in as always, and I look forward to welcoming you to the next episode of Pause for 3. My name is Obobia Dagon Opoku.
Welcome back. This is Morning Update on TVXYZ, also on Wazor TV. Remember to join us. Always we announce these numbers very early so that your text messages can come in as we expect. 0556 999 999. Abena started the show with greetings. I'm also adding mine. I hope you are well this morning. It's Monday, and today is the 22nd day of March. World Water
Day, yes.
World Water Day. What is your understanding of World Water Day?
Well, I from my part of the world, I see how much people are destroying our water bodies, and so I think that is in commemoration of, you know, trying to give clean water to us and make sure that there is enough water for everybody to use, because then I think a researcher in tech apparently has said that if we are not careful, we will be importing water soon.
And
so
that message has always
appreciate.
been on. In fact, when I was young, as early as my 4th grade, I understood that we have to plant trees. The narration at that time, the Water Resources Commission and so on were saying that, oh, let's plant trees to protect our water bodies. And I'm over 40 years. And so if you can imagine that over the years, we have not done much. Our forest belt is depleting. Now Galamsey has come in, and even what we have is drying.
Yeah.
We are polluting what is available in the major cities, and government keeps spending so much money. If you look at the budget, let's look at just 2000 alone. From 2000 to 2021, all the investment government has made in water projects, the support that has come from donor partners and so on. And if we want to look at availability of water to people in this part of the world, you would understand that a lot has gone waste.
Yes.
A lot has gone waste. Have you ever been to the rural part of Ghana before? In fact,
Very
the
remote.
remotest part of this country?
Yes, we did shoot a movie somewhere on the Suhum Road, but the town is deep.
Suhum.
No, it's not Suhum.
Here.
No, it's not Suhum. You go beyond it.
Okay.
But then the town is on your right. You go deep,
And
deep,
what
deep
was
down.
your impression as you were leaving the village, looking at what is available for them? Water in focus.
There was no water. There was no light. The only advantage we had was that we were shooting an adventure film, so it made it more real for us. We didn't shower for days, and then days when we had to shower, we had to go to a different town. I remember we went all the way to Koforidua because one of the cast lived in Koforidua to go and bath. That's how bad it was.
And that's how serious it is for majority of Ghanaians in the rural setting. They don't have water. The water bodies are dry, especially during this time of the year. Even as we speak, Ghana Water Company is rationing water in the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis, in part of the Bono region, in the eastern region, right here in Greater Accra. Even today, as we speak, there'll be major repair works at the Weja treatment plant, which means communities around Botiano, the eastern part of Accra, the western part of Accra may not have water from today and I think tomorrow. Water forms an essential part of our fight against the spread of COVID. I believe later on the program, you do your magic as usual.
We will.
You do your
we
magic.
need to try as much as possible to minimize the way we waste water. Because even around where I live, it's difficult for us to get. We don't get water from Ghana Water, so we buy. And now the people who bring the water are saying that it's very difficult for them to get water, so they've increased the prices.
And apart from that, people living in well-endowed communities are wasting water on daily basis. You drive around and you see pipe bursts. For days, people live in those communities and they don't even know the toll-free number to Ghana Water Company. But the other issue is, if they call, will somebody pick and would the response be as urgent as possible? Well, we have the newspapers. Can you start Daily Graphic before you now?
I'll start Daily Graphic. So on the front page, the major story here is with COVID levy. Since last week, we have all been saying that we didn't know the government was charging us for the free water and electricity, but apparently it was a misunderstanding of what the information minister
How can you call that
out.
Misunderstanding?
It was clear.
When the information minister was very emphatic and justified, because what the information ministry does, I know, is that before the budget is presented, they are given the highlights. Government's position is made clear because they know as soon as the budget is presented before Parliament, the debate starts. And the debate has been that government has to justify. So we've listened to Ejapa Mensah, we've listened to the information minister here on this network, we've listened to Dr. Kwekwa Friye, we've listened to Atachia, who are all MPs and either current serving as ministers today or former ministers. And so these are high-profile appointees. So if all of them will be consistent in the defense that freebies cannot be over, you have to sweat for the freebies, and that is why those are in the budget. Why would the information minister, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, yesterday when I was listening to him, I was a bit baffled, and I could see that he was struggling to justify that this is the position of the Ministry of Finance. But the question is, at the time, all of them, and the unionism was cutting through, defending the taxes that, look, you can't enjoy your water and electricity and expect government to conjure the money to come and pay for it. Why would you tell us today that, that was misinformation? And look, we'll play back Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah's tape and you can hear it. The issue is, at the time they were defending the budget, what went into their mind? What was their understanding of the position of the Information Ministry? I disagree with them in this attempt to cover up the position they held.
The mouth speaks. So the first explanation he gave is what we are sticking with. This is just trying to correct the mistake.
So you won't go with the correction?
No.
Hey.
It says that
you can complain, but you have to go with the correction.
I'm not going to go with it. I mean, Eric, come on.
Okay, you go ahead.
COVID-19 levy not for accrued bills. Now, St. Augustine's College commemorates 91st anniversary, and Palmer Bako asked students to prepare for the world. Also, 830 remand prisoners discharged, whereas 171 have been convicted. Now, on the back page, it says any partner support Kolebu, others with medical equipment, and its partners make help to their workers and citizens of the host countries in which it operates. Whereas LG sponsors poverty reduction projects in Upper East, Northeast regions. Now, we do hope that later they wouldn't ask them to pay.
Okay, so I want to do two papers at a go. The Ghanaian Times and the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Why I'm interested in taking the two at the same time is because of the reported cases of accidents. On the front page of the Daily Dispatch, here it is. 9 persons were killed, or 9 persons are killed every day in Ghana. 9 persons are killed every day in Ghana. That's how it should be. So on the front page of the Daily Dispatch, that's how it appears. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, it talks about National Road Safety Authority to ban one driver for long distance buses effective April 1st. I'll be going into the details later, but let me quickly do the banner headline on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Former Auditor General's exit from office. Domlivo was retired lawfully. Office of the President responds to CSOs fighting against corruption. So that's it on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and I'm sure by now you are aware that Domlivo has responded with one word: ridiculous. And the civil society organizations fighting corruption are now saying that government is changing the narrative because, in their opinion, the trend of events suggested one thing, that government just wanted to kick Domlivo out. Government says Domlivo was appointed by John Mahama just before he left office. And so all his actions indicate that he was working for John Mahama and the NDC. We leave it at your desk. Discuss them this morning. Other stories here: Ghana targets 42 million COVID-19 vaccine doses to immunize 20 million Ghanaians. That's what Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Akuma Abuaje, is saying. The Daily Dispatch, other stories on the front page is, there's one here which is focusing on schools. It talks about Old Toms, Slopans, Encore, and Archbishop Porter Girls Secondary School, as well as Ebri Girls Senior High School. Just grab a copy, read details for yourself. And this one says, NPP guru in Ashanti dares a Greek minister. You said the president has given you blessing to contest. So that's on the front page. I don't know why the Daily Dispatch seems to be focusing on that Greek minister. I remember they did a story suggesting that he lied when he met some NPP delegates or NPP members when he recently visited Kumasi. And now they are publishing a story which is suggesting that the minister was actually campaigning, telling people. And I've seen other publications saying that the minister may have to be sacked because of his actions, which is against the position of government. Now, the stories on the road safety and accident. One is talking about the ban on one driver for long distance buses or commuting effective April 1st. The explanation here is that many of the accidents from investigations is attributed to drivers who are either tired or sleeping or in a rush to make money. But I believe that while the National Road Safety Authority is speaking to issues about driver fatigue and so on, they must also be bold and tell government that one of the major causes of accidents especially on our highways, is the potholes, the bad roads. Ghana Highway Authority has often admitted that the design of some of these roads are bad. Construction work which are left without any signpost to caution drivers is another issue. I remember National Road Safety Authority some time ago talked about building resting spots or centers. I don't know how to explain it, but you drive from here to Tamale, so you go beyond Kumasi, approaching Techiman, you are tired. And so you see a rest stop, yes. And then you can park, shower, take a little rest, take a few beverages, snacks here, and rest. We have not seen them more than 8 years since this initiative was launched. I don't know what the Road Safety Commission is pushing for. Abna, these are the stories on the front page, and that's Dispatch and that of the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, so I will quickly do the Herald. Now, the front page says, intolerant Akufo-Addo insults respected anti-corruption campaigner, and this is referring to Dumelovo. Now, also, Information Minister's communication on 2021 budget in tatters. Finance Ministry runs in to clear mess, whereas Geneva-based body reveals Ghanaian HIV group officers sexually abusing patients. Now, I think I read a little bit of that. It says, executive of the Ghanaian organization supporting people living with HIV and AIDS demanded sex acts and money in exchange for access to benefits, which is quite disheartening. Now, because our time is almost up, I'll quickly do the Chronicle, where it says that the $278 million Kumasi Central Market project is, it says here that Yem Peneda, traders file suit to halt KMA from demolishing stores and stalls. Now, President Akufo-Addo is also saying that I didn't sack Dumelovo, he was retired by the law. Whereas Bagbing backs at NDC plans to reject 2021 budget. But Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah is saying that government thumbs up Parliament for approving budget. Okay, so two quick ones, Business and Financial Times and the Inquisitor. On its front page, powerful to powerless, Colonel Opoku is hot over Yoko exhibit vehicles. So that's it on the front page of the Inquisitor newspaper. There's another story here which says Elikem Kotoko punches Gabi. And Gabi had posted that before you lay your head to sleep, just think for a moment what Ghana would have been like under this global pandemic and socio-economic catastrophe with NDC under John Mahama in office. Just for a moment, sleep well. And Elikem Kotoko's job was this. And I want to read. It says, before you lay your retarded brains to rest, think for a moment what Ghana would have been without hospitals like University of Ghana Medical Center, Bank of Ghana Hospital, Dodowa, Rage, etc., built by JM at when your uncle could lay a single block but only promised 88. Sleep well. So these are the jobs. Front page, Business and Financial Times, inflation, rising debt, pandemic gave Bank of Ghana hard time on policy rate. Analysts remain divided over likely outcome. So that's it. We'll be going for a break. Wisdom, Hede Joma, will join us with the news at 7. Welcome back to the morning update on TV XYZ. Now, this program, do not forget, is proudly brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water. Now, if you're thinking of distribution, you can call the number 0596273546 or 059-6273547. Wisdom is here with the news. Good morning, Wisdom.
Morning, Nana Abenasewa.
Tell us what you have today.
A lot coming up this morning. Information Minister makes U-turn after backlash on justification of new taxes, explains to know more citizens not to cater for freebies, and details of COVID-19 management also coming up, and government gains sales through in spite of threats. 2021 budget passed, dashing hope Parliament can be a tool to bring the executive to order. Also coming up, presidency direct anger at CSOs against corruption in a 21-page document justifying action against Daniel Yao Domelevo, and owners of defunct UT and Unibank to petition Parliament to investigate and reclaim their businesses for them. Many thanks for your time. Let's begin the bulletin with some announcement that will benefit residents of Accra. Now, the Ghana Water Company Limited is embarking on a major repair works at the Weja treatment plant beginning this morning. The exercise, which ends tomorrow, will affect Botiano, Kaswa, Nyinyano, part of Weja and adjoining communities. The company says supply will be restored as soon as work is completed, but did not say if your tap will flow by close of day Tuesday. Let's move on. And the Ghana National Service, the Ghana Health Service has allayed fears following a report that some countries have stopped using the AstraZeneca vaccine. Many European countries, including Germany, France, and Italy, suspended vaccine usage over the past few weeks following a report that people have had developed rare blood clot and some had died. But Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kuma Abuaji, who updated the public on the management of COVID-19 cases, said there is still no proof that links the concerns to the jabs. Dr. Abuaji, who updated the media at a news conference yesterday, said the EU has since declared the vaccine as safe and effective and didn't include the risk of blood clot. He said of the over 400,000 plus vaccinated, only 1,500 have reported adverse effect to be managed.
Vaccination against the COVID-19 will not reduce illness or death from other causes. So doesn't mean that because you have had vaccination, if you have any thromboembolic or a clotting disorder, it will not occur. And so they wanted to make sure that is clear. And these occur very frequently. So whatever happens to you, we have a way of doing a causality analysis to see whatever happened to you, is it because of the vaccine or not? It also shows that the surveillance system works and that effective controls are in place. Otherwise, sometimes things may be happening without knowing. And so as long as people are reporting, so far about 1,500 or so plus people have reported some adverse events that we are following. So the European Medicines Agency has reviewed the cases I was reported, and that led to the suspension and indicated that the AstraZeneca vaccine is safe.
Now, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service also disclosed that investigations into the theft of 50 COVID-19 vaccines from government hospitals are underway. Giving a breakdown, Dr. Abuaji said the recovery rate among students in secondary schools is very high.
The number of cases recorded in the school is 1,920. Northeast region is the only region that has not reported any case in any school. One mortality was recorded among cases in the schools, and the active cases of the school stands at 220. Ahafo has made reports. 7 schools have reported cases. 30 of them, 26 have recovered. We have 4 active cases. Ashanti had cases in 34 schools. They are currently having 3 active cases. Bono has from 38 schools with 245 cases. They have 11 active cases. Bono East, from 22 schools, they had 97 cases, all of them, only 2 are active, which means 95 are recovered. Central is also 16 schools with 19 active cases so far. Eastern, 27 schools reporting 328 cases, but they currently have 3 active cases. Greater Accra had 47 schools reporting cases, and currently they have 49 active cases.
Let's do some government stories now. And government says it's optimistic Parliament will approve the appropriation bill for the 2021 budget by March 31 to enable government spend next month. Information Minister Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, who disclosed this at Meet the Press series yesterday afternoon, also changed the narrative after defending new taxes imposed on Ghanaians, saying it is no longer going to pay for freebies.
I'm sure you've noticed that the Ministry of Finance has taken time to respond to some of these already, and we ask you to highlight the correct positions for us to help inform the general public. And just 2 of those positions that have been dealt with by the Ministry of Finance. First is the claim that government says that you have to pay for the free water and free electricity of 2020 through the COVID-19 levy. You know that government has never said that. Government has never said that you have to pay for the free water and free electricity of 2020. The COVID levy is not for free water and electricity. For the avoidance of doubt, the Ministry of Finance statement deals with it. But if you also go into the budget, if you go to, I think, page 58, in their statement they said page 75, but it's actually page 58 of the full document. It outlines the uses of the COVID levy to provide the requisite resources to sustain the implementation of these measures. Government is proposing the introduction of a COVID-19 health levy of 1% increase in the National Health Insurance levy and 1% point increase in the VAT flat rate.
Now, let's still on governance issue, and this time in Parliament, because those who predicted the NDC threat to reject the 2020 budget was empty had their way last Friday. The House, in a 37 to 134 vote, approved the 2021 budget. This is raising concerns about the ability of Parliament through the minority group to check the executive. Now, owners of defunct UT and Unibank are expected to petition Parliament tomorrow to investigate the Bank of Ghana. Dr. Kwabena Duffuor and Prince Kofi Amoabeng suspect foul play, how they will get back their licenses to operate with full payment of compensation to shareholders and affected persons by the decision.
UT Bank, then owned by business mogul Prince Kofi Amoabeng, was among the first 2 financial institutions whose licenses were revoked by the Bank of Ghana, which declared it insolvent as far back as August 2017. What later became known as the financial sector cleanup exercise affected 7 banks in all, including the now defunct Unibank, owned by former finance minister and governor of the central bank, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. The Bank of Ghana on August 1st, 2018, merged 5 banks into a consolidated Bank of Ghana Limited with the explanation that investigations had established that the 5 banks were insolvent. But Dr. Duffuor has since been in court in a fight to reclaim Unibank. In May 2019, the court ordered an arbitration, sending signals that government may have been struggling in court. In June 2020, the state prosecutors struck out earlier charges against Dr. Kwabena Duffuor and others and filed a fresh one. The latest twist of events is a joint petition before Parliament. Bank founders Prince Kofi Amoabeng and Dr. Kwabena Duffuor are demanding a bipartisan investigation into the revocation of their licenses. Key among the demands cited by TVXYZ News include 1. Investigate the conduct of the Bank of Ghana and the Ghana Stock Exchange for the revocation of UT Bank's license and delisting the bank without due regard to the rules of administrative justice guaranteed under Article 23 of the 1992 Constitution. 2. Direct the restoration of the banking license of UT Bank and remedy the harm done to the shareholders' property rights. Investigate the takeover appointment of official administrator of Unibank Ghana and reasons adduced. And 4. direct the restoration of Unibank's license and remedying damage caused. The petition shall be officially presented before Parliament tomorrow, Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021, for appropriate directives to be issued by the Speaker of Parliament.
Now, government has taken a swipe at civil society organizations for playing to the gallery on issues involving then Auditor General Daniel Yao Domelevo. In a 21-page long response to clear his sinking image, the presidency maintained that Daniel Yao Domelevo was not sacked for fighting corruption but was on retirement. Again, it maintained that actions of the former Auditor General exposed a clear agenda in the interest of former President John Mahama, who appointed him. President Akufo-Addo's secretary, Nana Asante Bedu-Eto's letter to the Coalition of Civil Society Organizations Against Corruption stated, among other things, that the series of activities that characterized the appointment of Daniel Yao Domelevo was questionable to begin with. Now, Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah spoke to the issue yesterday.
Particularly, I think, by civil society organizations that seek to distort the matter of fact that has transpired. And that is why the Office of the President has responded in that 21-page statement. Because if you choose to move away from the technical issues and now get into the space of politics, that it is because of politics, then again, when you read the statement, it makes the argument that the presidency believes that if politics will be mentioned, then it is rather the one that has suffered politics at the hands of the former Auditor General. And they have outlined all of it. For example, the question of his appointment at a time when the administration had lost power, had appointed somebody who had declined. This is an administration that never appointed a substantive Auditor General to audit it. When it lost power, then purported to appoint Mr. Domelevo. The question of Kroll and Associates, which is sometimes raised as the challenge with the Auditor General. And the statement, I think, outlines clearly that Kroll and Associates is the one that was actually supporting the fight against corruption.
Daniel Domelevo, in another short response, simply described the letter as ridiculous. Vice President of Imani Africa, Kofi Bento, in reaction, described President Akufo-Addo's response letter in response to Daniel Domelevo's forced retirement as bad attempt to switch the narrative. Away from that, and the latest EIU report may have signaled hope to the bruised NDC, yet to be recovering from the unanimous Supreme Court ruling affirming President Akufo-Addo's re-election. But it says bright chances for the NDC in 2024 could go with a huge sacrifice. The NPP admits the huge challenge, but hopes to break the 8-year jinx. Fate of the NDC, its ability to stay united now, depend on strategic moves by leadership, including MP. Analysts have warned of dire consequences if the party loses grip on its grassroots base. The party has the next 2 years to heal wounds, set out its structures to elect new national and regional executives, as well as a flag bearer for 2024. The latest report by the Economic Intelligence Unit, EIU, is projecting a win for NDC in 2024. The 25-page document cited by TVXYZ News, however, says it expects NDC to seek to revitalize its prospect with a fresh candidate. Analysts say the projections appear too early and NDC may land on John Mahama as their best and well-marketed candidate. The EIU report also fears NDC will lose more seats and may not secure a simple majority should it win in 2024. But Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah says MPP is focused and the report does not necessarily place John Mahama ahead of MPP. He said MPP is working hard to break the 8 years.
After 2 terms of an MPP government, we expect the NDC to win the 2024 presidential election and to gain a small majority in parliament. So if you follow the build-up, they are talking about an 8-year alternation between this side and that side. We are very much aware of this tendency. But we believe that this whole thing where every 8 years, even when the country is making progress, power changes hands, is something that can actually set us back. And that is why this administration intends to work very hard to retain the confidence of the people by the time that our second-term mandate is done, so that we can break the 8-year cycle.
Leader and national chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, however, tells TVXYZ News it's too early for discussions about NDC and 2024, while he maintains the Mahama factor and its influence on NDC is huge and cannot be brushed aside. He is begging members to remain calm while the necessary strategies are implemented to strengthen the party.
We have asked that let's put all this behind us, because for every war, there are a series of battles that we go through. You may succeed in some of the battles, you may lose in some of those battles. When you lose, it is not the end of the war. You retreat and come back and re-strategize and reorganize and move in. We believe that there are a lot that we can rely on our gallant members of parliament to do for the party and for the country. Therefore, we are asking for calm by all the party. The Council of Elders have met the leadership, and we believe that there is a path that we are charting, and it will lead to making the NDC bigger, stronger, and better as we prepare towards future elections.
Now let's turn our attention to a canker that needs to be tackled head-on, and another near-fatal accident over the weekend is reviving calls for dualization of major highways. In the following report, 15 passengers, including SHS student, nearly died.
To dualize roads dominated the 2020 elections. It came up during the vetting of the sector minister, Kwesi Amoako Atta. The 2020 budget did not make significant comments in spite of gory accidents recorded on the major highways since January this year. Still fresh in the minds of Ghanaians are 17 persons who died on the spot in the Bupe Tamale accident in February. 16 dead after a head-on collision between two buses on the Accra-Kumasi Highway, also in February, and separate gory accidents on the Cape Coast Highway last month. But for fate, Ghana would have recorded another disturbing news last weekend. While no one was confirmed dead on the spot, at least 15, including students of Apam Secondary School, sustained life-threatening injuries after a pile-up near Gumwa Ochireko Junction on the Kaswa-Winneba Highway. It involved two private cars and a Toyota Haze commercial bus. Cesar Clement was one of the witnesses at the scene.
You said, driver, we know, or you overtaking. Now, or the Kokushia, until she are we Shia white and dodgy, no, the Kushia back on. The Mihu and said, Bo, and Timponico Yinipan. Over and the not perform team, near Kupigani Yinipan, and my Obaba Conam, Bemamin. Well, no, so, oh, no, yet, and Mania, Obaba, also school gate.
The Dominancy District Police Commander, DSP David Osei-Fofie, who had rescued operation, had a strong word for drivers.
Akoti up to Winneba, Ekwani is very, very dangerous because we are careful, until Omunam Kwano saw Omun Kwani is very, very dangerous. Omuna Butaresu.
And before we go, former President John Mahama, his wife Lordina, and other top officials over the weekend joined the family of late Bafo Boni to commemorate his 40th day after his death.
The late presidential staffer, Saint Kwesi Bafo Boni, died on February 1st after a short illness. Over the weekend, former President John Dramani Mahama, his wife Lordina, former Chief of Staff Julius Deborah, and some NDC officials. Other officials visited the family of the late Bafo Boni, who was popularly referred to as Babo. The solemn event was also attended by few former appointees and friends in respect of the COVID-19 protocols. The late Bafo Boni was the owner of Network Broadcasting Company Limited, the company that operates Radio Gold, Muntie FM, which has been closed down by Nana Akufo-Addo's government, and TV Gold. From 2012 to 2016, Mr. Bafo Boni served as a presidential staffer and senior advisor on political affairs to the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama. He was married with 3 children, Oma Eniwa Bafo Boni, Kweku Ajamai Bafo Boni, and Kweku Amwa Bafo Boni.
And that pretty does it for this morning's edition of News in Brief on Morning Update. As always, do log on to my xyzonline.com for more. Nana Abena Sewa has the rest of Morning Update. Nana, it's Monday. And my ever friends will say, Ejona. You know what that means?
What does that mean?
When you grow, I'll teach you.
Right. Now, I quickly would want to wish one of my favorite DOPs, his wife, celebrated her birthday yesterday. Elizabeth Nadu Nate, your husband says he loves you. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about water.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks, check, auto checks, check.
Emission, check.
Check, auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Auto checks, check, auto checks.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks. Check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back to the morning update. We are now at the social segment where we discuss matters that are of importance to you and I. And such of those matters is water. Where I live, I hardly get water. I don't get water from Ghana Water Company, and so I buy. And now the people are telling me that they would have to charge much more than they were charging before because it's quite difficult for them to also get the water as well. And I know that there are many, many, many areas in the country that are also suffering with water. And I stated or indicated earlier that I had to shoot somewhere outside Accra, and it was very difficult for us to even shower. So we took it as part of the production. And you can see that sometimes people have to go all the way, travel miles to get water. And you can even see in the video where these people are fetching the water from the stream. And it's not even filtered, but they are going to use it like that. And today being World Water Day focuses on providing safe, clean water. And as we are seeing on our screens, we can see that there is water, but as to whether it's clean and safe, that is another thing. And the water doesn't actually look clean. But hey, today World Water Day celebrates water, and it raises awareness of the 2.2 billion people living without access to safe water. Now, it's about taking action to tackle the global water crisis, a core focus of the World Water Day, and also to support the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal, which is water and sanitation for all by 2030. And we do hope that this vision actually comes to pass, because then mostly we hear of visions and the set dates come and we haven't actually achieved it. Now we see that some of these water bodies that the people drink from give them certain diseases that we stated earlier, or you saw on the screen. So there is bilharzia, there is cholera, and a lot that goes on in those areas that actually do not have clean water. The government obviously have been trying to support or try to provide clean and safe water for such people that are deprived. And also there are some NGOs that try to do that as well. There's CONUWAS, that is the coalition of NGOs in water and sanitation. They have been trying to provide certain clean water for these areas. Now, we do have a resource person on the line that we will be talking to, and he will give us details into some of these things. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. Now, we have seen a lot, and I've been stating that even where I live, it's difficult for us to get water, but that's not to say that most people are not getting the water as well. But as a country, where are we with our water issues?
Yes, thank you very much. So I think that when it comes to access to safe water, we've done quite well. According to the Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey report 2017-2018, Ghana has at least 80% access in terms of safe water. The difficulty is that the quality of the water sometimes is not too good. We are told by this same report that 5 out of 10 point sources, and 8 out of 10 household water is contaminated with E. coli. And E. coli is basically fecal contamination of water. And so the challenges are there. Apart from the quality of water, we also have issues with the disparity, the inequality in terms of people who live in the rural areas versus people who live in urban areas. The report indicates that those who live in urban areas are twice as much able to access safe water compared to those who live in the rural and small towns. So these are the challenges that we face regarding access to safe water.
Okay. Now, as a body, what have you done so far to be able to curb this situation or even minimize it to a certain level?
So when it comes to the contribution of members of the coalition of NGOs in water and sanitation, we have about 85 members who contribute to the delivery of safe water. Individual members are doing quite a lot in terms of access, in terms of quality, and in terms of the inequality. But of course, we cannot do everything. It is up to government to prioritize the sector and provide adequate financing for the delivery of safe water. And that is why our advocacy and policy engagement activities have targeted the policy makers, so that whilst we are doing our bit, government is also able to prioritize and allocate substantial financing to improve the delivery of safe water in Ghana. We wish that everybody everywhere will have access to safe water. That is the only way we can even achieve all the other SDGs. So they are so interconnected that you need to achieve the SDG 6 to be able to achieve other SDGs.
Now, how difficult is it for people in rural areas to get access to clean and safe water?
It's quite difficult because many people rely on unsafe water sources, contaminated sources. I'm talking about unprotected wells, ponds, dams, streams, and sometimes even rivers. And these sources, are not safe. But sometimes this is the only source available. And even with this, they sometimes have to travel, miles and kilometers before they can access even this contaminated water. So the situation is very difficult in many parts of the country. And we think that this is where government should prioritize so that the poor and vulnerable can also have access to safe water.
Right. Now, we did say that we'll plan to plant some trees to provide clean water for such individuals and even the entire country as well. What has happened to that vision? Do you have any idea?
I am not too sure how far that has gone.
Right.
But I believe that there is something that could help because we know the relationship between the environment and the access to safe water. It's important that we are able to link the two. Water resources management is critical if we want to achieve sustainable access to safe water. And I think that government and all other stakeholders should also pay attention to that aspect as well.
Now, to support the COVID situation and to help us stay clean and safe during this pandemic, the government has issued free water policy. Do you think, is this advisable? Should he go ahead with it, or this is something that we should reverse at this point in time? Because looking at the situation is actually also resulted in the shortage of water. And where I live, I keep saying this, the water prices have shot up because they say they cannot get water.
I didn't get the last bit of your question.
So I'm saying that because of the pandemic, the government has issued a policy where some areas get water for free because I don't enjoy that. But the people who even bring
Is it something that is still going on?
Yes, it is.
I thought it ended at the end of December.
No. It's still ongoing.
All right.
Yes.
Well, my position on that has always been that it's important that we prioritize the poor and the vulnerable so that they can have access. Those of us who live in the cities, sometimes, even though it may be difficult, you find a way to get access to safe water. You call the tanker services and all that. But those who live in these poor, deprived, and hard-to-reach areas, have virtually no other option but to rely on these unprotected sources. And so I think, and I've always made that position clear, that it's important that the resources that we have are appropriated to solving the challenges facing those who live in the small towns and the rural areas, and not continue to prioritize the urban areas to the detriment of those who live in these rural areas. So that, at the end of the pandemic, whilst those who live in the cities and towns have access, those who live in the rural areas can also have access. And so if we can allocate a lot more resources to the delivery of safe water in rural areas, I think that we'll be living in accordance with our slogan that we don't want to leave anybody behind.
Right. Now, the SDG is saying that water for all by 2030. Looking at where we are now, do you think we'll be able to achieve that?
Oh, yes. When it comes to access to safe water, if we are committed and we are able to prioritize and increase financing, we should be able to achieve that. At 80%, we just have about 20% to go. But here we are talking about basic access. If we want to attain sustainable, access, where we are piping water to the premises of households and all that, then it will take a lot more. I think it will be difficult to achieve that. But even if we are able to achieve sustainable access to basic services or basic access to safe water, for me, I think it will be better than not having access at all. But when it comes to sanitation, the story will be better. I am not too sure that we'll be able to meet the SDG target for sanitation.
Right.
For water, if we put our house in order, we should be able to achieve that.
Okay. Now, before you leave us, what has been WASH's contribution, and what will be your contribution towards this?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Come again.
I'm saying that before you leave us, could you please take us through the contribution of WASH so far towards achieving clean and safe water, and what will be the contribution towards achieving the set goal in 2030?
Yes, I think that when it comes to members of the coalition of NGOs in water and sanitation, I mean, we are very big players who are making very good contributions. There are players like World Vision Ghana, Water Aid Ghana, Plan International Ghana, Save Water, we have CARE International, we have Global Communities, we have ProNet, we have APDO. These are big players who are making huge contributions to access to safe water. Going forward, whilst we are providing service delivery, what we intend to do is to also intensify our advocacy and policy dialogues so that we get other stakeholders, particularly government, to be a lot more committed and increase financing to deliver safe water, especially to poor and deprived communities.
Thank you, Yao, for talking to us this morning. We do hope that you have a good day, sir.
My pleasure.
Right. Now, I have been talking to Mr. Yao Atta Ahin. He is a technical coordinator, World Vision Ghana, and the chairman of CONIWAS. He has been telling us a lot about how they have been working with government hand to hand to make sure that they provide clean and safe water for the country. Now, I would please tell you to try and keep our water safe. Do not dump things into our water bodies. And also, those doing galamsey, we beg you, please keep us safe. We need water. If we are not careful, at a point we will not even have water to bath. And this is how bad this has become. Now we'll take our newspaper review with Eric Ahianyo.
XYZ. Nana Abena Sewa had a conversation on water, and I believe we learned a lot from the submission by the WASH representative. What we need to do at this time is to understand that water is life. And here at TVXYZ and Ways on TV, we always recommend to you well-treated water. That is X natural mineral water. But for many of you who still depend on tap water or water bodies to survive, first, understand that if the water is not clean, you will be sick. All kinds of waterborne diseases, as you heard Abena speak about. And so it is your responsibility in that rural community, in that farm village, that if people are conducting activities polluting the water body around you, fight them, because it is your life that they are destroying. It can give you long-term sickness. It will reduce productivity. And remember that in those areas, access to healthcare is even very difficult. So if you are a chief, that is what you must do. For those of us living in urban centers, you know it's so beautiful when you watch foreign movies or videos representing other countries where you have clean water bodies. They can be used for entertainment, apart from using them for recreation and a lot of things. And so World Water Day, as we mark it today, just remember that we have one goal: to make sure water is always available. God has already created the world and deliberately positioned water bodies as strategic areas to help the people. We have it in abundance, but much have dried up, and that is not the best for us. Otherwise, your child and my child, our grandchildren, may be importing water, as experts have already been telling us. This morning, we are doing the newspaper review. Unfortunately, today, on Mondays, John Kweku Mensah Mauto, the Dean of Students, School of Graduate Studies, University of Professional Studies, Accra, joins us. Today, he will not be here, but his colleague, Alexander Chum Berima, is a legal practitioner, has joined me in the studio. Alex, how are you? I'm also fine. I used to cut my hair like yours. And with some aboy. You know what aboy is?
Yeah, I know. When I was young, I once did that. And we were going to buy something for my mom, and somebody saw us on the way. That was in Kumasi. And the person called us. We were two. But when you called, she made a very funny comment. In Chi, she said, like the other person who was with me should come, and not me rather. And now, since then, I stopped putting that thing on my. But at first, I used to when I was young.
So you were intimidated?
Yeah, by that statement. And
but I think
since then,
I
changed.
You were a good boy, or you were a good boy, because other children would have said, "Yeah,
that was, I think, if I'm right, I think it was around 97. And since then to today.
And that has made you a lawyer.
Obviously.
Okay, the front page is Daily Graphic, COVID-19 levy not for accrued bills. That's what Kojo Ponkrumah has told the media at the press briefing yesterday. Colonel Opoku is hot over Yoko exhibit vehicles. Intolerant Akufo-Addo insults respected anti-corruption campaigner. And then we have the $278 million Kumasi Central Market project. Yempene Da. Traders file suit to halt KMA from demolishing stalls. And then we also have a story on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, which is also talking about Daniel Domelevo. This morning, I decided to Google Daniel Domelevo's name to look at the kind of headlines that have been reported. It is a reflection of the conversation so far. Domelevo, how Auditor General proceed by forced leave 167 as a Ghanaian. My work is embarrassing government. Domelevo writes back to Akufo-Addo. Domelevo was appointed over allegiance to Mahama instead of the nation, Akufo-Addo. Domelevo was targeted by government not committed to fighting corruption. Daniel Domelevo was targeted by President Akufo-Addo government. Domelevo to Audit Service Board. Your request for handing over note is flawed. Domelevo replies Akufo-Addo. Proceed on leave directive is unconstitutional. Republic of Ghana appoints new Auditor General. And then Ghana bulletin.com says minority rights to Domelevo over government expenditure on COVID-19. So it's a reflection of how we started, how we ended. Now, Alex, I'm sure you have read the 21-page letter. In summary, government says those supporting Domelevo and suggesting that Nana Akufo-Addo is not committed to fight corruption are only being misled by one side of a story. And so they painted the true picture that first he has not been sacked, he was asked to proceed on leave. His actions suggested that he was targeting Nana Akufo-Addo's administration to embarrass it because obviously there was enough to prove that he was working for John Mahama. In summary, and then they talked about the Kroll and Associates, that Kroll and Associates was actually fighting corruption and not what was brought to the public domain by Daniel Domelevo.
Eric, over the weekend I saw it. I wasn't even in Accra, but when I saw the news alerts, I think on City FM and I think on Accra FM, I didn't read the story. I just read the headline. But you know what I intended to do? I intended to go to read comments of people who have read it. And Eric, it was sad. From these two platforms that I've mentioned, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who had written something under it was insulting the president.
You're talking about the comments?
Yes. Then I asked myself, why would the president jump into the gallery? I've not gotten an opportunity to read the entire letter, but let's deal with the summary that have come out. That Mr. Domelevo was working, from the headline that I said his allegiance was to John Dramani Mahama. Really? Okay. The president has been the leader of this country since 2017, right? January to today. Can he name one person that he has appointed whose allegiance is to the country? One.
All of them, I guess.
I'm not asking you to name. I want him to name for us. All his appointees,
why are you driving at this?
What I'm trying to tell you is that if you sit down and analyze the kind of work that Domelevo was doing, independently, don't look at it from a political point of view. Do an independent analysis on him. And then today we are told that based on all this unique service that this gentleman was providing, he was rather targeting the particular government. And that he was working to point to a direction that he was, being loyal to a particular person and not to the country. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that all the appointees of this government, past and present, which of them's allegiance is to the country? From what they are doing. From those who are gone, from what they have done in the past, which of them showed that his allegiance was to the country and was really helping Ghana and not themselves and their political interest? Which of them? We want him to name, once he has been able to tell us whose allegiance was to John Dramani Mahama, he should as well be able to tell us whose allegiance is to country. Which of them?
So, in your opinion, that argument is flawed?
Of course.
But
because I am yet that you see, my question. The question is coming from the point. I want to even know. I'm putting it to them that if the Malevo's actions was to justify that his allegiance was to somebody, then this government, we don't have one of them whose allegiance is to the country.
Any reference to any particular office?
I will not name. That's why I've said that irrespective of whatever angle that he has appointed to. All the persons that he has appointed, which of them's actions point to the fact that that person is working for the interest of this country?
Why is it
and not their particular interest or individual interest?
Some will say it looks like we are taking things very personal when it comes to Dom Levo. Let me read 2 paragraphs as quoted in the letter for you. And I'm referencing this to the angles that the Ghanaian Times newspaper chose. It says, it said it was disappointing to hear some members of civil society make loose and thoughtless statements that the compulsory retirement of Mr. Dom Levo had put the president's credibility on anti-corruption in tatters. He was not targeted or chased out of office, as has been stated wrongly in the public domain. When President Akufo-Addo assumed office, he worked and continues to work with all constitutional office holders that had been appointed by his predecessor, it said. The statement pointed out that the Commissioner of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Mr. Joseph Whittal, who, like Mr. Dom Levo, was appointed by former President John Mahama, and the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Mrs. Josephine Nkrumah, had been working cordially with President Akufo-Addo since he assumed office. It is therefore completely disingenuous on anyone's part to suggest even remotely that the president had been removing constitutional office holders that he met in office or that he has difficulty working with them.
Based on everything that you have stated here.
Joseph Whittal is in office.
Eric.
The NCC boss is in office. And that's the explanation they are putting here.
I want them to also understand that if those persons that you have named are still occupying the office, I don't have any issue with that. But my point here is that the kind of behavior that you are putting up towards Mr. Dom Levo points to one direction. It points to one direction. I heard you naming that they said Crow and Associates was fighting corruption. What did the man say in the Crow and Associates issue? We are meant to understand that some kind of money, about $1 million, was paid to this very company without any work done. That is what we were told. That no work was done, but they have been paid some money. Was it true? If it's not true, what particular work did they do? Once you are given any kind of assignment of that nature, you are giving what you call terms of reference. Did they go according to it? What is the outcome of their job? Did they achieve the results that the very person who employed them to do it asked them to do? If the answer is yes, we need to see those things. Point to us. You see, let's try to understand something. When the Auditor General is doing his work, it is not just Dom Levo doing his work. It is his officers who descends to those ministries, go and conduct audits and bring reports. Eric, and their reports, before they will publicize the thing about you, it means everything was pointing to that direction. If there were records of work done and everything, why would they put a question mark that some money has been paid to somebody without any work done?
What about the reference to some actions, i.e. surcharging people who eventually win their case in court and government has to refund the money, or conducting an investigation on behalf of the Get Fund and create the assumption that it was his office? Because these are references government officials have pointed to in defense of government action against Domlevo.
So in the nutshell, the government office is telling us that they are fighting. They are rather on track when it comes to fighting of corruption, right?
That's what they are saying. That those assuming that Akufo-Addo has lost track have a problem. In summary, to be very nice to.
Do you remember the PPA boss issue?
I do.
What happened to him? I'm asking a question. What happened to him?
I'm listening to you.
What happened to him, Eric? The only thing we heard was that he has been sacked or released from office. Is that the fight for corruption? Is that the only fight or the best way to address corruption issues? At least, let's judge the president by his own words. He said, I will fight corruption, I will use the ANAS method to fight corruption. You know what the ANAS method leads to? It leads to people losing their jobs. Those who are found culpable. Leads to them losing their jobs, and some are even prosecuted. So the question again is that when the PPA boss issue came, we had MPP General Secretary defending the issue. He's on record, he's on tape. That there's nothing wrong with an officer forming the company and then, using his company to also make profit. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, you were meant to understand that, what he did was normal. Now it got to a point that no, that thing that was being defended turned out to be wrong. We are told that the president is fighting corruption. We are yet to see the kind of corruption that he has. Because for some of us, we have even lost count of the corruption issues or allegations that has come up under this government. Countless allegations has come up. But the point remains that how has the outcome been? Go to the street and ask the ordinary Ghanaian. You see, if you set your own questions and then mark it yourself, you always get yourself better. But go to the street and ask the ordinary Ghanaian how they see this government when they come to the fight against corruption.
In your earlier submission, you made reference to comments under the posts by some media platforms. Now, why will government spend much time to write a 21-page report to redeem its image over one public servant who is no more serving in his capacity as Auditor General?
That should tell you how they've lost track of their own.
Is it not also because of the bad mouth-watering that perhaps has bad mouthing, which has perhaps dented government's image, not in Ghana alone, but before the international community?
Oh, yes.
And so government has an obligation to clear its image.
Yes, I'm told that the man has been given an appointment with the EU or something. I don't know how.
European Central Bank, that's what we are hearing.
Okay.
As an external auditor.
If that is true, this is somebody that you didn't see anything wrong doing. You said his time is even up to be in office. Really? Do you know how many appointees of this government who are even over 70 years and they are still holding offices? Check the records. The so-called chief executives who are still holding offices now. Check some of them, their ages. Check that of GMPC. Among other institutions. Check it. Check their age. And ask yourself a very simple question. From 60 years, the maximum government can give you contract for is 5 years. 221 or 122, whichever way you want to go. 5 years in total. And I'm telling you, most of these officers are over 65 years, and they are still holding offices. Google their names and check their various dates of birth. Why are they still in office? Or is it because for them they are MPP people?
So, would you also say, because in government submission, the president is working with other institutions, but for Domlevo's own action. Now, when the CSOs fighting corruption issued a statement after Domlevo was asked to go on leave, they made reference to the Supreme Court, and they said there was a case before the Supreme Court which was supposed to determine whether it was constitutional to ask Domlevo to embark on leave or otherwise.
I know, yeah.
That case was never heard, and eventually government has taken advantage of the loophole to get him out. Does it also leave a bad impression on the image of that institution, which should be helping us to fight corruption?
Well, I don't want to believe that the issue was never heard. But what I know as a legal practitioner is that when you file a case in court, the joins a queue. Okay? So there are some cases.
I find a very nice way to run away from it because you have an interest there. Because the question is, look at the election petition case. Wait, hold on.
There are some matters
look at the election petition case.
Yes.
There was reason for the Supreme Court to amend its own rules to ensure that it is dealt with within a short time frame.
Now there is those rules were amended years back.
Why will a court or the Chief Justice or anybody say that we are setting up special courts to dispatch with some cases judiciously and as fast as possible? This is one single case that has generated national interest. This case has been brought before you. As many as 20, 25, 30 civil society organizations.
So, Eric,
and these are big organizations. If that case is before a Supreme Court and it doesn't see the need to dispatch with that case as fast as it should happen, why would it be absolving itself on this controversial issue?
That is why I am of the belief that we should try and practice, or our court structure should be amended in such a way to suit that of the United Kingdom. So that it will not just be every matter that will go to the Supreme Court. Okay? The Supreme Court has its jurisdiction, but I think the jurisdictions, some of them should be taken and be given to other courts who can, look at them as fast as we want it and then handle it, instead of waiting for the Supreme Court to come and give judgments on it. You understand me? So I wish that kind of changes can be done within time, or as we go on, so that we can have a system whereby certain issues can be determined by certain other courts, and not necessarily going to wait at the Supreme Court for the judges to come to the issue. Okay? Because if you look, I'm using the UK as an example, because in UK, even the amount of fees that you've been paid to go to the Supreme Court is very expensive. So you can't just go there. You are compelled to use the other courts to address your issues, and go there only when it's really, really, really necessary to do so. All right? So I wish that one day we will get there, that kind of amendments and changes will be done, as we keep saying, and that certain cases will be given, to certain courts as their jurisdiction to handle it in certain ways, so that we will just fast track issues. Okay? Because under normal circumstances, the Supreme Court, when you go there today and go to the registry to go and find out the number of cases that are pending to be heard, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked.
Well, we'll leave that to you. The numbers to call, the numbers to send your WhatsApp messages to are 0556 999 999, 0556 999 999, or for those who know, 020 866 7000, 020 866 7000. You can send your messages on this specific issue and what you think. Now, the letter some have described as an attack on civil society organizations fighting corruption. Others say the CSOs against corruption have also been too harsh on the president. Now, one paragraph says, the president has, through his entire profession and public life, been a fighter for constitutionalism and strong institutions of state, and will continue to ensure that under his watch, these institutions are further strengthened for the development of our beloved country. It begs belief that notable public personalities who avow their faith in the rule of law would, in the face of President's public record, seek to paint him as a petty-minded authoritarian who disregards the rule of law and the whim, or as a result of personal dislike, it will be an issue of malice or ill will. The letter said the president's record of promoting and protecting the Constitution through his public life, including his tenure as president, made a mockery of such baseless accusations against him. This letter, obviously signed by Nana Bediotio Asante, is full of he's venting anger through the words. So the presidency is just angry about how it's been treated. Akufo-Addo has a track record, and Domelevo cannot destroy it. That is, in simple terms, what he has said. He has protected the institution. He doesn't discriminate. He's a fighter of human rights, and the president will stand tall.
Domelevo is not destroying it. They are destroying it themselves.
How?
Look at what has happened in the past when it comes to this man.
Like?
He has had issues. Let's try to go back a bit. There was a time that a list was sent to him to approve. And the list was comprising of former government appointees under the President Kufuor era, which includes the presidents, who were MPs and I think hold certain offices, and then their kind of emoluments were not paid or fully paid. And now they were urging the Auditor General through the Chief of Staff, was urging the Auditor General to review and then I think approve the payment. And the man refused. He started references to Generosity report and other things under the President Mills era and so on and so forth as a basis of saying that those officers whose name have been listed are not entitled to the kind of payment, then he wasn't going to grant it. They had issues with it. But you see, if you want a system whereby anything that is being put to somebody from the presidency must be approved at all costs because it's coming from the presidency, then where are we heading towards to?
Are we in a culture of impunity where the executive assumes a role where if you challenge it, then you are against government?
Is that not what you have been seeing?
Institutions are under threat.
That is what you have been seeing technically. That is what you have been seeing technically. Because
how do we walk away from here?
Yeah, I mean, the only way you can walk away is that if they believe in institutions being independent to work on their own, they should permit them to do their work and that they should accept their recommendations and suggestions to them.
So they are saying.
So, for instance,
they are saying, for example, EC is working. EC has not been disturbed.
Oh,
the NCC is working. NCC has not been disturbed. SHRAJ is working. It's not been disturbed. The Supreme Court as an institution has been working. It's not been disturbed. So why only Auditor General's office creating this so?
That is why I asked a very simple question earlier on that I want to know which of the government appointees from 2017 to today owns allegiance to Ghana, who has Ghana at heart, who believes that we must fight for the betterment of Ghana, not for our personal interests. If there are such people, they would have gotten to know that Jane Mensah was giving money to procure certain equipment for this registration that was immediate past registration and elections. And those equipments included facial verification machines, which we were told. I'm yet to see any Ghanaian who saw any facial verification machine in any police station. Tell me one. You did your registration. I don't know how you did it. But tell me if you found any facial verification machine at your polling center.
But if the committee of eminent persons made up of religious leaders, chiefs, GJ executives, TUC, etc., if all these people are not complaining, why are you complaining? It may sound sarcastic, but that is what I'm putting to you.
If we all continue to keep silent, the country, if it's a vehicle, it will crash.
That is why I asked the question, how do we go away from here? Because
we can only go away where institutions such as, like this particular example that I've given you, such as the EC, who has been given a mandate and given state resources, our money, to do a kind of exercise for us. They told us they are bringing a unique system. All right? A unique system which will make this registration.
So you are faulting government for being selective. That's the inference I draw from what you are saying.
Technically, they are being selective because if they are not being selective, they would have queried the EC by now. By now, the EC could have come to explain to us why we did not find any facial verification machine at any police station. Meanwhile, it was part of the things that they said they were going to equip, procure. So what are they? Nobody is asking this question. For me, during the proper registration period, I wasn't even in the country, so I wasn't even part.
Are you not painting a hopeless situation that government and its appointees or those who follow government or those who admire Akufo-Addo's government don't see? Because all these institutions are there. And if
the president told us
critics will complain,
something very, very recently, that we should open our eyes to see his one district, one factory. I'm asking the same thing to them. That they should also open their eyes to see the wrongdoings that are happening. I've given them an example. Where were those machines? If you say the EC is doing their work, they have not been tempered with fine. Do you want us to believe that it's because also...
I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Fortunately, we have somebody who obviously will understand the government's 21-page response to the civil society organizations. Nana Obri Buahini is I think the national vice chairman of
Deputy General Secretary.
Deputy
General Secretary.
General Secretary of the party. Nana, with your Fachami, good morning.
Good morning.
Again, Nana Obri Buahini is a Deputy General Secretary of the MPP.
Yes, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP.
Right. Nana, how are you this morning?
I'm fine.
Are you in Accra?
I am in Sunyani. I'm going to the High Court in Sunyani this morning.
Okay, so let me do quickly with you. A lot of people disagree with the content of the 21-page letter. They think government is running around looking for flimsy excuses to justify what has angered a section of the public.
21 what, please, my brother?
21-page letter signed by Nana Bediotio Asante explaining why Domelevo must go and why civil society organizations and critics should not be directing their anger at Akufo-Addo for not fighting corruption.
Oh, but Domelevo, is he the only Ghanaian? I don't see why this brouhaha about Domelevo. Has he not attained the age of 60? Please, with due respect, I am just posing this harmless question. Has he not attained the age of 60?
I am listening to you, Nana. Go ahead.
He has attained the age of 60, and he has been asked to go home. He himself ought to have known, and he has done that. It's an individual who is not affected. It's Domelevo. Is he in court? No. Can somebody bring an action on his behalf in the High Court? No. Why? Because it's his personal matter. Action personal. It is not an interpretation of
as simple as having attained 60 or otherwise and must go on retirement. Is that how you are reducing this Domelevo conversation to?
Oh, that's the how. Where? The man has attained the age of 60. Is he not supposed to go home?
So, are you assuming that the civil society organizations reference to how government handled the Kroll and Associates issue, where the board chairman of the Auditor General's office would assume the role of a government official who allegedly misapplied as much as $1 million and must pay a refund, and then the issues about his office being logged, whether it's Ghanaian or otherwise, and the related matters that have come up. Many see it.
Are you talking about Kroll and Associates, or you are talking about Domelevo as an individual?
The 21-page report.
Are we talking about Domelevo as an individual, or we are talking about Kroll and Associates?
No, Bribwahine, if you listen to me carefully, I would want to repeat. I'm saying that the 21-page report did not limit the issues around Domelevo to his age and retirement. It talked about all these things I've referred to just a while ago.
And the President Secretary has responded to the allegations. Yeah, what else? You see, civil society group, I appreciate the services that they are rendering to Mother Ghana. No question about that. And therefore, they have every right to complain. No question about that. The large barrage of complaints against the government, the President, Executive Secretary, has also come out and then responded to those allegations. So why should they be peeved or angry? Why? How? Doesn't mean that once they have raised these allegations, all of us must be bound by those allegations, and that no individual should respond to those allegations. Is that the position?
No,
that is not the position.
No, Bribwahine.
My brother, I'm listening.
You and I have followed politics in this country for more than 30 years. Is it not strange that for the first time in the history of this country, you have as many as 25, 26, up to 30 civil society organizations all speaking in unison, attacking government for actions that suggest that the president is not committed to fight corruption? This is the first time you have so many CSOs. Isn't that an issue of concern? Is it not strange that all of them seem to be on one side and government alone disagrees?
It is not government alone. It is not government alone. Hold on. Let's look at it from this angle. When the EC decided to compile a new voter register, I think almost 30 civil society groups, 30 protested. They had press conferences upon press conferences. Eventually, some individuals went to court. The highest court of the land gave the blessing to the EC. Why do you say to that? Please, in honesty, I am not running down the sentiments of the civil society. No. But I believe that the president or his executive secretary is also entitled to present his side of the story. So why do you want us to, as it were, to make fetish of the recommendations of the civil society? But we should jettison the explanations from the president or his executive secretary. That is not fair. Leave it to readers. Leave it to Ghanaians. They were able to draw the conclusion. Why we do that? We are not being fair at all. We must be fair to each other. Civil society, yes, we must be fair to them. We must also be fair to the president. We must be fair to the executive secretary. We must be fair to the MPP. We must be fair to every Ghanaian. We call it the Odi Oterem Party. We call it the Odi Oterem Party. Civil society has spoken. 23, yes, fine. Yes, the executive secretary, what is your response? He has also presented his policy. He said, we are peeved and angry. How? Is that how to talk about democracy?
Nana Obrigboahin, have you read the 21-page letter?
I have not.
Okay.
But I don't think he has insulted any individual. Has he?
What do you make? In fact, some of the language used there were quite strong, to be very frank with you. But let's go beyond that. What do you make of a letter from the executive secretary to the president suggesting that Domelevo was appointed by John Mahama? All his actions, Ghanaians have seen, you have seen, I have seen. And what he did sought to do dirty work for John Mahama. What do you make of such a statement?
Oh, it is the executive secretary who has much information, has much knowledge, and it was in the light of that he made that publication. So why don't you call him for further and better particulars? You have just drawn the conclusion that that is insulting. That is insulting. That is reckless. You don't do that. You can invite him. You've called me this morning. Mr. Bediatu, you've read your 21 paragraph so. Can you throw more light? And certainly I believe Mr. Bediatu threw more light. You want us to accept what the civil society has written. And you want us to consider what Bediatu has written as insulting. Is that fair?
I take your submission in good faith. But I believe that I'm sure you understand the import of my response. But I will go ahead.
I'm also pretty sure you know the import of my response. Let's be fair to each other.
Okay, 50-50. Now, last question before you go. Now, there's a school of thought that what we do today will come after us tomorrow. If tomorrow the NDC becomes or forms government, and so this precedent is that let us go after any appointee by Nana Akufo-Addo because they came in to satisfy the NPP government. Is that fair for Ghana as we move forward as one people trying to improve on governance?
Today is on Monday.
Today is Monday.
Yes. So sometimes you don't need to think about what will happen on Wednesday.
You think about the fufu you eat in the afternoon?
But sometimes, yes. I should think of what I will eat.
In
honesty, sometimes you'll be stretching it to a certain point. Today is Monday. 10 people is in power now. Sometimes it serves no purpose for us to be thinking of what would happen in the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Sometimes it serves no purpose at all.
Let's
restrict ourselves to what is happening.
All right.
Now we are considering what is happening today.
Sure.
The communication director of NDC has run down the Speaker of Parliament,
and then some MPs,
minority leader, and then chief whip. Civil society, what is your response to that? For that one, civil society organizations, they are not supposed to comment on that. They are interested in democracy, Western democracy, growth of democracy, advancement of democracy. So civil society, I'm here to hear from them. I've not heard from them.
Are you comparing the same issues of the
No, I'm making a suggestion. No, I'm suggesting that maybe they have responded and I'm here to read their response.
Okay. when they respond officially, I'm sure we shall communicate it together. But no Bribwahini, Alex Chumberema, I'm sure you know him. Alex Chumberema says greetings to you.
Oh yes, I've done my greetings to him.
Alex is talking to you if you want to say a word.
Alex. Alex.
Zinia.
Now one of the posters are quite to Tarona, no Bribwa, General Secretary.
Oh, Nana Menga, Miss Rowe.
Nana, I'm sure.
We are comfort. Alex,
and I'm never. When they say, I did have a new man, say, I did have Banty.
Off air.
We are so grateful for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
He raises some key points.
Yeah,
I don't know which ones you want.
Sometimes I like the way he communicates. Especially when he tried to blend it with the Bono language. I always get enthused anytime I'm listening to him with that.
Yeah, he spoke to some critical issues.
Yeah. One thing that I noted down was that he was clear that once the executive secretary has made a kind of response to the issues, it would have been better for us to hear him for further and better. On the other hand, too, one thing that I also deduce from it is that once a response has come from the executive secretary, then it leaves us with one thing, a comparative analysis. Comparing the statement to what has happened in the past. What are some of the issues that has been raised in the past? What are some of the issues that has been made known to us by the Auditor General, by his actions and everything? What have we seen? So many things, Eric. So many things. You have heard so many. The man, when he was in office, we saw his zeal, the way he speaks. And you know, one thing that I love about him, when they raise issues about his date of birth, he had a right to have challenged them if he knew he was wrong. But you know something? He was of the opinion that, why will I even fight? Let me go. Because in simple terms, at the age of 55, you can go on voluntary retirement. So let's even presume that he's even 59 years. As he was making us to understand that he was 59 and not 60. He still falls within that voluntary ages that he can go. He can go voluntarily. So there wasn't anything wrong for him to have said that he's going.
Okay, so to sum up this conversation, I asked this question earlier.
Okay.
Governance is not about the executive and the legislature or perhaps the judiciary and the gossipers as in the media who will continue to talk about. It's about everybody.
Yeah.
But we know that some key sectors help to shape governance. So that is why we have governance think tanks. That is why we have the diplomatic community. That is why we have other key institutions like the Judicial Service or maybe in this case SRAJ and so on. And the TUC representing the workers' front and so on. Now, if all these bodies may have one concern or the other, how can we collectively help address this issue before things blow up? Because as it is now, it looks like every other institution is quiet. And maybe Ghana may be left to hear what the diplomatic community may say about us in one big statement that perhaps will shake government, if that is where we are heading to.
I think this is happening because it looks like some of these institutions who are not making any comments or utterance towards these things that are happening. Maybe because, well, let me just protect my own. Maybe that they are just trying to protect their own.
Have you also heard comments that perhaps many of them are quiet because the alternative government, i.e. NDC, has not treated them well and they have found themselves as enemies to the NDC?
What is the word treatment?
And for which reason they are quiet because they have suffered in the past, they have been relegated to the background in the past. And so many of them may be exhibiting this posture because the NDC didn't treat them better in any way. That's where we are. So it's a collective pain we have to suffer.
Can you give me a single example of an institution which was relegated during the NDC era? One single example of an institution which was relegated during the NDC era, being President Mills or President Mahama administration. Which of them?
The import of the question again, I'm saying that there's another school of thought that many of these institutions are quiet because when the NDC was in government, the NDC made them look like enemies. And that's
why I'm trying to get
many
to
of these institutions are quiet.
That is why I'm trying to get to one institution which will make us believe, or which we know for the record.
Which means you don't agree to that.
I strongly don't agree. I strongly don't agree. I want to know one institution which was made to be an enemy, or made to be known as an enemy to the government or to whatever during the NDC era.
Regardless of the insults targeting people who lead some of these institutions.
We have had the institutions and persons insulting presidents. Take it from the back. President Mills time. There were times that he even sent somebody, I don't want to mention him here, to go and ask a particular person in this country, whose name, which you know very well. If I should mention his name now, you know him. Why he has been insulting almost every time on radio. Attacks left, right. Yet that person was still permitted to operate in this country without any fear. Even though he was always chastising the president seriously and harshly. So if we come to tell us today that, oh, during the NDC era, some institutions were being targeted, some institutions were being known to be enemies of the state or whatever, and that is why today those people are against the NDC and rather not talking under this government. Which institution is that? You can only criticize when you are doing something right or wrong.
Alex Chum Berema is a legal practitioner. This morning we spent much time talking about Domlevo government's 21-page letter. We've spoken to Nana Obiri Boahene, who is a deputy General Secretary of the NPP, and then we have also delved into some of the key issues government has raised in that letter in response to the criticisms by the civil society organizations. Now, if you heard the TUC as any of the executive members, if you are a member of the Ghana Bar Association as one of the executive members, if you work for SHRAJ, if you work for the Office of the Special Prosecutor, I know they are doing a lot because the OSP's board chairman is a member of the coalition of NGOs actually fighting against corruption, which have issued strong statements against the government. If you work for the Christian Council of Ghana, or you represent the Chief Imam's office, or any key strategic institution, the National House of Chiefs, the Council of State, reflect on a number of things that have happened in this country with respect to governance. And if you so believe that we are on the right path, give government a pat on the back. If you strongly disagree, there's a lot we can do together. Then reflect and see how we can collectively change the course and move Ghana forward. Because I've heard people say that the level of polarization is getting to a certain level that can explode because people are bitter, people are not speaking, people are scared, people are deliberately undermining government. All these are sentiments on the ground. I don't know which one you want to pick at. I have mine. I can't express all, but I'm sure by now you have an impression about my own position on developments in this country. We'll be taking a short break. When we come back, we'll look at COVID-19 issues or matters arising from the press conference yesterday. We'll be looking at the 2021 budget. It has been approved by Parliament, 137 to 134 votes. NDC again could not carry its threat to vote against the budget. What does it mean? When we come back, I'll tell you more.
Ifa kura na menyisika edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kura mabre ni ye bosia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamu akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekoko abosia, susu account, eni daso wɔ hɔ savings account, me bada chain savings account, ene de akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
auto checks. Check, auto checks. Check.
Emission, check.
Check, auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Auto checks. Check, auto checks.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks. Check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
Welcome back. This is TVXYZ. This is Wazor TV. Those following us on Facebook and YouTube, just share the links and let others join us. A lot of messages coming in, and some of the words here are quite harsh. Let me read a few, and then I'll call for a comment by Kojo Ponkroma on the 2021 budget and why he thinks that at this stage, let's look at the positives. This text message says, A, just 3 months after election, Ponkroma is thinking of winning the next election with such abysmal performance. I don't blame him, because now they don't need to perform and will be selected, not elected during elections. But this time around, they lie bad. Every Ghanaian will be at the EC for fair elections, from Ablade in Efiekuma Zongo. This text message here says, and it's coming from Correct Score Zakaria, says, in Sunyani, the NPP and Nana Akufo-Addo have been a disjoint to our democracy and for the peace that we have had. Why? Because former Auditor General Yaw Domelevo was a citizen and was doing a citizen's job, but the spectators, not citizens, and naysayers have driven him away. Nana Addo's commitment to fight against corruption is in tatters. Long message, I can't read the rest. This one says, Bosheba Amisti Gos Zongo, Parliament has approved the 2021 budget and all because it is coming to transform the country. So let's all continue to support the president. And he greets some MPs in Asen, is it Sunafo North or whatever. Alhaji Hamza, Pig Farm. Truth be told, what has happened to Domelevo is nothing but pity or petty, useless, and so shameful. The records of Mr. Domelevo is up there for all to see. Mr. Domelevo demonstrated to show that he was in office to fight and corruption and fight for Mother Ghana. It is a fact that this government failed to fight corruption, and it goes on and on. I'll truncate some of the messages because of the length. This one says, this one is from Kwame Aksiditi Ahafo Atrinsua. Is that Atrinsua?
Atrinsua, yeah. That's Collins area.
Whose area? Collins Dada. Okay. Economy started dwindling before COVID-19 pandemic came to attack the world. Ghana is the first country in the world to ask its citizens to pay back for the freebies and received as COVID-19 relief, and imposing COVID-19 on its citizens. Ghana is retrogressing instead of progression. I'll read two more because of time. I'm actually not reading some of the text messages that have strong words. And so bear with me, please. Let's be a bit decorous in our pronunciations, in our choice of words. It seems to me the president is not ready to fight corruption. I was really sad when the president said Domelevo was doing JDM's bid, not for the nation. So if I may ask, EC Chair Jean Mensah and Unanimous SC, I believe you are talking to the Supreme Court, whose agenda were they also doing? The statement of the president is very embarrassing, and I think the Council of State have a lot of work to do. And this one came from Eben in, somebody's calling. Eben, I will try to find out where Eben is. I'll stop here. Please don't call. Send your text messages. A lot more I cannot read now because of the calls coming in. Now, we'll be listening to the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkroma. He spoke to a lot of issues in the budget at the Meet the Press series yesterday. He talked about some positive aspects Ghanaians have to look at and how it will drive the economy back to action and then attract investment for us to see growth. But he also explains that the tax reliefs or the taxes introduced in the 2021 budget are not to pay for the freebies we have enjoyed or continue to enjoy. Listen to Kojo.
I'm sure you've noticed that the Ministry of Finance has taken time to respond to some of these already, and we ask you to highlight the correct positions for us to help inform the general public. And just two of those positions that have been dealt with by the Ministry of Finance. First is the claim that government says that you have to pay for the free water and free electricity of 2020 through the COVID-19 levy. You know that government has never said that. Government has never said that you have to pay for the free water and free electricity of 2020. The COVID levy is not for free water and electricity. For the avoidance of doubt, the Ministry of Finance statement deals with it. But if you also go into the budget, if you go to, I think, page 58, in their statement they said page 75, but it's actually page 58 of the full document. It outlines the uses of the COVID levy to provide the requisite resources to sustain the implementation of these measures. Government is proposing the introduction of a COVID-19 health levy of 1% increase in the National Health Insurance Levy and 1% point increase in the VAT flat rate.
And so that is Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, Minister for Information. I can understand the tough job he has, but he has tried to explain, and I think it's a bold action to admit that, yes, Ghanaians were not happy with the earlier pronouncement. And so let's put the record straight as indicated in the Finance Ministry's response to...
The earlier pronouncement made by who? Who came to tell us that we are going to pay for the water and the electricity that we had free in the past? Who said that?
It was not Kojo alone.
I've not asked you, I mean, I'm not saying how many people, I said who came to tell us?
So you came here today to come and ask me questions?
Some of the questions you have to help me to answer.
Answer your question.
Some of the questions you have to help me to answer. Because it was the same Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah who came to tell us. There's a video on it. If your producers can get it for me, I'll be very glad.
I'm sure they'll be looking for it.
They should look for it and play it.
Okay.
And then let's compare it to whatever he's saying today. Let's compare it to whatever he's saying today. The same person told us that we're going to pay for it.
Okay, so I'm told it's ready. Okay. So let's listen to Kojo.
Let's go.
To respond to COVID. And we did not necessarily charge the Ghanaian for it. We had to borrow. We had to take money from the Bank of Ghana to deal with the COVID pandemic. That's why today articles are being published around the world commending Ghana as one of the best response countries. But that 19 billion cedis has to be paid for at some point. The liabilities we have incurred has to be paid for. COVID expenses are going to be with us at least for the medium term.
Does the 19 billion include the free water and electricity?
It does. It's part of COVID-related expenses.
No, but you gave us that one hand and you're taking it back the other.
No, we were in the midst of a crisis and government had to front load.
You said it was free.
But it's free to you. It wasn't free to the Treasury.
So Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah was speaking to my colleague Evans Mensah on Joy News, unpacking the budget, and you heard it. But we have Franklin Cudjoe on the line. Imani Africa, they've been doing a lot of work in Ghana and beyond our West African sub-region. They've been recognized for their effort to help shape governance across the globe, and they have won several awards. Franklin, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Charlie Fino, it's a long time. I see you, Chair.
Yes, so I've been hiding a little.
Are you running away from COVID or you are on retirement?
COVID is a scare, but also just generally despondent about a lot of things that have happened in the last couple of weeks.
I've been following you lately, Lolobi, Saul, all the issues about your village, your birthdays, and all the things. You are a big man, oh.
Well, maybe big man in size, but not necessarily in terms of. I don't know what you mean by big one, but anyway.
Yeah, Franklin, I followed the role Imani Africa has played with reference to the Domelevo issue. I followed Kofi Bentil, who issued a response summarizing the 21-page letter as a way of diverting attention or changing the rules of engagement with reference to why Domelevo is no more in office. How did you receive this letter?
Well, I thought it was an interesting letter. It was supposed to be the side of the government, especially the presidency. It contained what looks like some grace that seems to have been done Domelevo because apparently he was appointed by the former president. And because he was appointed by the former president, what it meant was that he really was a persona non grata. At least that's what the letter is trying to say. And then in spite of the fact that the letter states that the presidency extended the greatest of help in terms of resources to the Auditor General, Domelevo did not show good faith, because Domelevo was one person who was just a thorn in the flesh of everybody, reaching out to places he's not supposed to reach out. That's the way I felt the letter was communicated. It was a bit unfortunate, because the point of the matter really is that letter was not necessary. It was not necessary at all. But there was no need for the letter. Because the challenge is that you cannot erase in the what people's views of the incidents have come to be formed. So for me, the letter was, even though it was nicely written, a 21-pager, it was an interesting read because, like I said, it added really nothing to the debate or to the discussion. And if for anything at all, it was a collection of, it was an assemblage of the very issues that have happened. It's a little peppering to say that, look, the government side have done nothing at all, and that they've been quite benevolent to Domelevo. I think it was also a bit sad to hear that he owed allegiance to Muhammad instead of the nation. That was unfortunate. If he knew the person owed allegiance to Muhammad, why give him the needed resources then to do what he had to do? And on the matters of the Kroll Associates, which is one of the reasons, which even though the letter suggests they didn't think it was one of the reasons that led to this, it was one of the issues that led to the conversation, the
disagreement between Domelevo.
And truth be told, at the end of the day, the Kroll matter, the question was whether the items that they were looking for or the investigations that they were looking for couldn't have been done by the Auditor General. But of course, the answer has been sorted, and the answer is simply that they didn't trust Domelevo to be able to unearth some of the Muhammad-related alleged corruption. That's what is being communicated to us.
Now, Franklin, that's on the face of the letter in summary. But the Office of the President also takes on CSOs directly because the narration is that you didn't understand the issues or you were overly interested in the Domelevo angle.
Look, my brother, we all run organizations that are audited. When you take money to do work, you'll be audited. And let's be truthful. What we all don't like auditors. That's the whole idea. I mean, that's the whole thing. Nobody likes to be checked. So the fact of the matter is that it was the auditing work of Domelevo that led to all the issues we are dealing with here. So, and the CSOs are just interested in the issues around auditing. That's what we are about, really. So if we are seeing that the person auditing are being thwarted, their efforts are being thwarted, we have every right to speak up. So that's our only interest. I don't think our interest is to shoot Domelevo or to say that because Domelevo issues about his date of birth came up and all of that, we shouldn't, all of a sudden, we are mute. Some of us obviously haven't been mute about his birthday issue. Because I was on another network and I did say that if Domelevo had issues as clearly, it should explain that to everybody. And that's what we some of us did. I think to be asked to be blasting Domelevo because of some alleged infraction, which infraction he seems to have responded to, is a bit of a stretch, really. And so for me, taking a swipe at us was not, it wasn't surprising, really. And as I said earlier, the letter was, in fact, not necessary at all.
Okay, Franklin, now let's walk into other critical issues. Now, the Auditor General's department, like several other key institutions of state, are supposed to help shape governance for the better. Where we are now, several of them may be hanging or are not really up to task because of the perception of fear among those who may be at post. We also know that CSOs have collectively been speaking to issues and how all of us can do them right. From where we are and government trying to clean its image, as we know has been muddied before the international community, how can we get away from this collectively?
Well, I guess the government ought to put things right. And it begins with whoever they want to appoint as the Auditor General must be accepted in the public's eye. And the Auditor General must do his work in such a way that people would trust and believe that the new guy was not put there because they needed to remove Domele, or Domele was a top. I suspect it's just one of the ways, really, and I suspect the special prosecutor's role as well ought to be properly defined. I guess these are the things that would make people believe that something definitely would have changed.
Okay, thank you. Frankly, before you go, let me ask a controversial question. Are you comfortable with the way the Labour Front has been dealing with critical national issues these days compared to 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Some feel they are dead.
Labour Front definitely is dead. The Labour Front doesn't seem to be active. You are right. But it also depends on the politics of the day, I suspect. Yes, I've seen a few people talk, but I've not heard it the way it used to be, where it would have been charged and then people are saying they don't like what has happened, especially in the taxes and what have you. But it may well be the case that the leadership have been discussed, have been talked to, and as I said, it's a matter of politics as well. But definitely they are not as vociferous as they used to be.
Okay, Franklin Cudjoe, we are so grateful, and bear in mind anytime Imani Ghana is doing anything, because TVXYZ Ways of TV is ready to flirt with you.
Oh, I'm very grateful. I'm really grateful. I should know this by now.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your day, Franklin.
So may yours be better, please.
Thank you, Franklin. So Franklin Cudjoe, Imani Africa, well known. I don't have to describe him beyond that. He's also spoken to a number of issues, but we're walking into the budget. You listen to Cudjoe, and then we also listen to Cudjoe again when he tried to justify the taxes in the budget. He had a tough job, and he's set the record straight. They are not for freebies, the taxes.
He has made his own job tough. Cudjoe Oponkroma has made his own job tough. You can't tell us that 19 billion cedis debt is inclusive of the free water and free light. And that it might be paid for. That was him. He was talking. He's on record. Video. Then today you come and tell us that, oh, you are not going to pay for the past usage, but present. I mean, how do you blend the two?
Is it about the communication? Because whether it will pay for the past or it will not pay for present,
Eric,
Ghanaians will still pay the tax. That is the issue.
One. We are going to pay for the freebies that was given to us in the past. Simplicity. That is the only thing. It was said by no other person, by the Minister of State or Minister of Information. Cudjoe Oponkroma, he said it on Joy News.
And Cudjoe Oponkroma, before the rest of the country, says that. So I'm sure Franklin's line has not been cut, and it has leaked on air. I'm sure by now they've sorted it out. But we are I'm happy he didn't say that for watching Fabra. But go ahead. That's just on a lighter side.
So what I'm trying to say here is that if his work is becoming challenging, it is by his own actions. He has caused it. You can't tell us that we're going to pay 19 billion. There is a debt of 19 billion that we have to pay. And now you are back again telling us that, oh, the amount of money that we are going to pay is not inclusive of the past debt.
So that is...
okay, if it's not inclusive, the 19 billion cedis or debt, who is going to pay?
Ghanaians will pay.
through what? Taxes. And you see, let me tell you something. Do you know that this government, since assuming office in 2017, has increased VAT indirectly and directly?
Yes, I'm aware of the controversy after one of the mid-year budget reviews, which talked about some introductions of VAT, which was hived off from the NHIL and so on.
That is an increment.
But we've gone past that.
No, that is an increment.
But we've gone past
that. It's not an increment. Now VAT is going to be 19.5%. Take it or leave it. Because they are adding 1% to the flat rate of 12.5, making 13.5.
So it shouldn't have happened.
And they are going to add 1% to the NHIL, making 3.5 instead of 2.5. And get fund remains the same as 2.5.
Could anything, you see, we have Parliament as a body that must approve a budget. Could anything have been done beyond what we have seen? It's been approved.
It has been approved, but Eric,
there was a lot of opposition on the floor of Parliament speaking to all these issues. But at the end of the day, we had 137 to 134. And so Parliament is appearing as if they may not be able to checkmate the executive.
I don't care about the votes that were given to it. But what I want Ghanaians to understand is that any promise that has been given in this budget by this government, don't believe it.
So they shouldn't believe in the taxes?
Don't believe it. No, the taxes they are going to take.
So why are you taking the taxes and you are saying they shouldn't believe the others?
I mean,
because
the promises as to that.
There's something I will show
Eric,
to you. You go ahead, I will refer you to it.
I'm going to give you reasons to my words. We were told in April 2020 that Ghana is going to receive 88 brand new district hospitals. Have you even seen a stone on any land? As of today?
La Polyclinic.
It was not part of the 88. That was a different project. 88 new hospitals and in districts where they don't have any of such facilities.
I monitored the Minister for Health before the appointment committee.
Have you seen any of those hospitals?
But he said some have started, some
are
at the preparatory stage where land acquisition is being discussed.
Where? Started where? Which districts? Name it.
If you doubt it, it doesn't mean some effort has not been put in.
If they were, you would have named them.
But you also remember that at the time government was announcing 88 hospitals, the former president then said that government actually didn't have a budget, and so it should be an issue of concern.
That brings me to the point
government
that
is saying that
if they say anything, don't believe it.
Now government is saying that we are even increasing it to 111, and in this budget they have made reference to where they are going to raise the money from.
You best use one kesha. You can mount glass and full glass before they would. Na ya topo. You promised 88. We had one. We not even get one. And now you are promising me of 111. You promised the 88 that is going to happen within 1 year. Next month April will be 1 year. We are here today, the 11th month. We don't even have one of the 88. And you are promising me another 111 within another 1 year. Because this budget is for a year. Just 1 year budget, right? So you are promising me 111. The same government promised you that in the past budget 2019 budget that they were going to construct a railway line from Nsawam to Koforidua. Have you seen any railway line from Nsawam to Koforidua? They promised to do 500.
But I've seen a lot of work ongoing at the Eastern Corridor stretch.
In Nsawam to Koforidua specifically. That is my point.
It doesn't also mean that no effort has been put in place.
Railway line. Have you seen it?
You are making reference to Nsawam to Koforidua.
They also promised to give you a railway line from 596 kilometers, Kumasi to Paga. Have you seen that one too?
No.
So that is why I keep telling you that. You see, one day they always preach virtue, but they will practice vice. Now look at how they have done. We are told this morning. I heard it in the media that salary increment is not going to come this year, right?
That is the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what they have done? Government machineries. Let me quote it for you. Compensation of the salaries of staff of the Office of Government Machineries has seen a quantum increase. Last year, 2020, they were given 136,212,551.
That's allocation.
As allocation for salaries at government machineries. Do you know how much they are giving to them today? In 2021 budget, they have given them 823,888,668.
Say it again. Are you comparing 130 million to 800? That's more than 6 times fold.
Thank you. 2020, they quoted, or the amount that was given for government machinery as salaries and those things. 136,212,551.
2020.
2021, an amount of 823,880,668. You can find this in page 242 of the budget. Is there? Now the question is it because government is going to give mass salary increment to his machinery?
Or employ more people?
What is he going to do? And even if you are going to employ more people, what is the justification for this over 100% increment? Because the excess alone is more than 600 million extra.
Compared to 2020. So that is one aspect.
Okay. And this same government is telling that it doesn't have money to pay for our
No, but if you also look at the allocations for the 2020 budget,
they promised to build an interchange at Kumasi Swami. Have you seen anything there? It was in the 2018-2019 budget. They promised to build an interchange at Koforidua. Have you seen anything there? They promised to build an interchange at Kumasi Ofodu Krom and Rubber Junction. Have you seen anything there? So if all these promises are becoming sham promises, they promised to dualize the road from Accra to Takoradi, dual carriage. Accra to Kumasi, dual carriage. Have you seen anything? That is why I spoke in our local dialogue that you basically say.
So you are expressing doubt in the budget
because of the past.
But the budget also talks about special COVID packages.
$100 million
Obantapa project. Government obviously has made more commitment towards building hospitals, building schools,
which
building roads. They will do it. It's in the budget.
Eric.
And so
you came as a government in 2017. When you took over, there was a past government which has commenced very serious projects, such as Kumawu District Hospital, such as Femina District Hospital, such as Bekwai District Hospital, such as Ebitifi District Hospital. All these hospitals have been left to go rotten in the bush. When you could not even complete those ones. You promised us 88. We didn't see them. Now you promised us 111. You also not see the 111 in the 1 year. So next year budget, 2022 budget, you come and see that they will give you another agenda 150. They will tell you that they are even going to be 150.
Okay, so now whether we like it or not, the budget has been passed. Government obviously will go ahead to implement it. Yesterday, when I listened to Kojo Poma, he said they hope that the appropriation bills will be passed before the end of the month. So by 1st of April, government will start expenses.
So we'll start withdrawing the 800 and something million to spend.
What should you and I do? Because many people are creating the impression that times will be tough. Government admits times are tough. Government says
times are going to be tough for the ordinary Ghanaian, but not for them. Because look at how much money I've got.
Government is saying that at this stage, it is about time all of us support it to be able to have a peace of mind.
Why will you ask me to support you and go and squeeze myself because there's no money? You are coming from the letter that I have to go and pay for your debts and liabilities. Yet you have increased your money. They have given 4 million Ghana cedis to government communication machinery. What did they do? What kind of peculiar job are they doing for us as a country? Whereby they deserve that money, which is worth over $600,000. I'm asking a question. What work is government machinery, communication machinery, doing for us as a country?
No, but of course
that is so peculiar that we need to spend 4 million.
That's not the allocation. If you look at the microfinance and small loan center, 48 million is going there. Nation Builders Corps, 672 million is going there. National Identification Authority, 200 million cedis. Free Senior High School, government is committing 1.9 billion compared to about 2.2 billion last year. So this year it has dropped.
It has been capped. Most institutions have been capped, including even the judiciary.
Planting for Food and Jobs, 432 million. One district, one factory, 164 million. Water and sanitation, 90 million. Roads infrastructure, 952 million. Railway development, 136 million plus. Then fish landing sites, 29 million. Special development initiatives, 852 million. Now, what do you make of these figures? Because it looks like there are some key areas government is interested in. Nation Builders Corps, National Identification Authority, free senior high school. Then you come to special development initiatives, is receiving 852 million. Yet fish landing sites will have only 29.2 million, suggesting government will be dependent on loans for those projects.
Let me try to understand something here. Who pays the NAPCO staffs? Is it the institution that they work for that pays them, or who?
Government pays them.
Not the institution.
No, I don't. I've not checked, but I presume.
Let's try to clear our minds on that.
I presume
but
that.
The question is, if they are paid by the institutions they are working for, let's say XYZ Broadcasting, goes to a NAPCO staff, and you are supposed to pay for the person, pay his salaries or whatever. I mean, the allowance that they give, whether it's salary or allowance.
There should be no allocation to them.
That money is for what?
Well, it's a rhetorical question because I don't have answers. I'll leave it at that. We will have to follow up and share with you what we will get in our subsequent conversations or bulletins. That's how we'll bring the curtain to an end. I would have loved to read more text messages, but I'm told time is up. Alex Chumberima is a legal practitioner. We spoke to Franklin Kujo of Imani Africa, and we spoke to Nana Obri Buahini, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. I am Erica Hianyo. My colleague, Nana Abena Sewa, has not been able to join me for the last part of the show, but she's always around. Tomorrow, I'll wrap up with her. So those of you who like to see her on set, I promise you that tomorrow around this time, Abena should be reading messages. And then to my friend Gideon Anku, your wife celebrated her birthday yesterday. But Aku oba agetawo nanya oba ye komi kekena mimba shia. Bye bye for now.